Kuphina kuphi emakhaya amadolobheni aseComplasta khona lapho kubukela khona amabonakudze wakho SABC 1 Mzansi for sure sakumukela kuhlelo Yilungelo Lakho it's your right luhlelo kule lokuphathela ke indzaba tebatheki letsematheni mina ke ngisimphiwe ingcongwane asisingena indzabeni yethu namhla. You know, at some point in our lives, we all end up in a doctor's room or hospital for medical care. But with a constrained public health care system, many prefer private medical care, which is mostly accessible to those who can afford the cost of medical aid and scheme fees. Unfortunately, for those who can't afford the high cost of medical aid, the option is to shop around for a variety of medical cover products in the market. Well, joining us today is TV producer Nombuso Mahlangu. She's here to share with us her experiences and how she's dealing with the high cost of medical aid. Nombuso, sakumele hlene sabona.
Ngiyabonga Simphiwe.
Lendzaba medical aid Nombuso indzaba mlonyeni. Everybody's talking about it and everybody has got horrible stories to tell about medical aid. Wena, what's your story?
Esami story, I'd like to say it's simple, kodwa asikho simple. As a freelance journalist or producer, kuba nzima ukuthi ukwazi ukuzitholela medical aid yakho because obviously if freelance means ukuthi you don't have a certain contract, that means you are not subsidized by the company yakho uzibhadalela the full amount, yeah, which can be quite a lot. From my experience, the first one ngangibhadala 2.3 medical aid, and it was with another company, and I thought ukuthi it's going to be easy, and I ended up in hospital at some point in my life. And they discovered ukuthi I've got clinical depression, which was a re-diagnosis from one of the psychiatrists labebangibonile lapha esibhedlela. Bebangicheka, and then makufika isikhathi ukuthi ngiclaim from medical aid because yonke into behamba kahle mangingaguli, kodwa wafika lesikhathi ukuthi ngigule ngibe sesibhedlela. Mangifika makufanele ngiclaim medical aid yathi actually angeke sibhadale because discover ukuthi une clinical depression, which is something that you've had for 2 years prior ujoina medical aid. So ababhadalanga, they just gave me all the bills to pay, which were about 35,000 rand to 40,000 rand. And i-psychiatrist lengibonile esibhedlela ethe izoclaima yona from medical aid, and you understand ukuthi medical aid isebenza kanjani, ngingawari ngalutho. Naye wabuya naye i-invoice yakhe wanginika 10,000, wathi ngimkoleta 10,000, and ababhadalanga even ne-needle ye 2 rand because you know bakubhila pay everything, like a needle would be 10 rand, banginika every bill. And cool, ngashiya le medical aid bangikhipha bona futhi angishiyanga. Mabangikhipha ngatry uku-reapply again because sebangikhiphela ukuthi angidiscloseanga ukuthi nginani ne-clinical depression.
So you joined isikhathi le medical aid?
I think bengi over 6 months into medical aid.
Okay.
Yes. And mase ngitry uku-reapply, lo muntu ongikhiphile who was the head of that department akasa reply back, and then I tried to go to other departments, and I did call the Council of Medical Aid Schemes in Pretoria, and they said that I must try and reapply again. Mang try to reapply. First things first, erabayenza bangithumela I form look apply la the previous year, like 2018 instead of like 2019, and then I made them aware of that, and then bangithumela righty, mang try tumela, they never responded back. So that was my end of that relationship with them. I think I stayed 2 months or 3 months without medical aid, but I know because
so now it has a medical aid initially. Did they indicate to you any other affliction that you might have?
They do indicate, but I think that was a box that I did not even tick and go in depth with it, and no one saw that up until now. I ended up in hospital because of something that happened, and mangifika esibhedlela I'm just fragile. Kwamele bang admit into like a safer environment where I'm going to see a psychiatrist and all of that.
Which means bosolo ubhadala ke monthly medical aid yakho from your own pocket, only to realize ukuthi vele iclaim yakho angeke bay entertain. So I Council of Medical Aid Scheme yona itsini?
But I must just reapply again and try and continue with them.
So have you re-engaged them again ubatshela ukuthi nothing has helped?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Rather, ngihambile ngayofuna enye medical aid, which I went online. I got a broker. I-broker ngamchazela ukuthi this is my situation. I'm still paying debt here about 35,000 to 40,000. to this previous medical aid, and I need a medical aid because I'm taking chronic medication, which costs me about 1,000 rand every month for my pills. And you get broker, I say, okay, it's fine, I've got a medical aid for you, as Ogneta, which will pay also about 2,001.9. And then when you introduce it to gap cover, which is about 500% of hospital cover, so you don't do AMA co-payments. And only to find out to get nabo, but last year August, this year January, guys, a doctor, just a normal doctor's visit. A doctor, mang figure, but no, they can't take the medical aid, funding cash, and then I'll claim back, which was 640. And then doctor ngi prescription, mang figure a pharmacy.
That's another issue. Why bang the medical aid?
But things will claim it back because I do understand there are some practitioners which you claim back and they do pay back.
Okay.
So the problem was mang figure mang to claim after 14 days mang bafonela it claim but they won't pay it. But I don't have funds, and this is the beginning of the year. My funds njani. So just to finish off, mang figure pharmacy saying the prescription 500. Mang it's in your patale pharmacy. But no, I don't have funds. It's the beginning of the year. How do I not have funds? So mang bafonela, now I paid 1,000 rand, plus I'm paying 1.9 plus 390 for the gap cover. So I mean, I'm thinking I won't have any co-payment because ngapa I'm paying 35,000 rand from the previous medical problems that I had. I'm paying 1.9 plus 390, and still I have to pay le mali engiye ngayo doctor, which I thought that's what the medical aid was for. So it became a inkinga nje enkulu kimi. And mang bafonela, but there's a thing called eVault. How the vault works is that you unlock it. Mawivula, 9,000, you can take out however much money you want. But leo mali, it's not your savings, it's a loan. And magu loan jalo, you pay throughout the year, and then guba nama interest, which does not make sense.
Look, loan uithatha nangabe so exhausted your medical aid. Is that what it's supposed to?
No, medical aid awunawo ama funds.
Okay.
Kwamele uvule leyo vault.
Okay.
Hence ngithenga athi mangiye pharmacy bengana ama funds. So kwamele ngivule leyo vault, and mawuthi uyafona ngeweekend abasebenzi. So mangivula leyo vault kushuthi ngiyoyibhadala back nge-interest, which does not serve me because I've got a medical aid that I'm paying almost 2,000 rand for, and manje kwamele ngibuye futhi ngibhadalana nama vault which have interest.
Right.
It does not serve me. So I literally ngathi ngishiya phansi indaba medical aid, all that money which is almost like 2.5, I'd rather put it into a savings account in a bank which can acquire even interest, and I can use it for myself and probably get a hospital cover. Which would work out best for me. And in a case where maybe I get pregnant in some time in my life, I can probably go to, there's like these clinics that are quite affordable. It's homeopathy clinics. They're like 15,000 rand. So there are a lot of options. But in medical aids, I even went to Hello Peter to write about the medical aids. I was like, I think medical aid schemes are literally medical aid scams, because I was really hurt, and especially as a patient with clinical depression or tata chronic medication every month that costs about 1,000 rand every month. Really, the South African medical aid system, if me as a freelance producer / journalist, because I have nowhere to run, and I can't expect Ginga to be in my mom's medical aid. It does not make sense.
Yeah.
You
know, just listening to you, Nombuso, I mean, I get the sense that you're very much unhappy. I mean, everybody would be unhappy with the treatment that you got from the different medical aids that you've taken up in the past. So, are you willing to let it go? Are you just going to let it go like that?
I mean, the first one was one of South Africa's top medical aids, and the second one apparently so. So, if the top medical aids did not serve me any better, where else should I go? So I've let it go altogether.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for your experiences, and thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you, Thank you.
Ake bekunene kwanyalo asesisishilele ngasetolo siyabuya khona nyalo ke etiva ka tetfu letinye ke titasjoyina ke lapha e-studio leli Yilungelo lakho. And to further discuss the high cost of medical aid and what other options are available to still enjoy private health care, let's now extend a warm welcome to our studio guests. Sina taminga loge lomelege OYI Medical Fund, ibitwa ngekuthiwa yi-OI Medical Fund. Sibana Michael Setters from the Free Market Foundation, and the numbers will be on your screens for your participation in today's discussion. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right. Baba, let me start with you. What's nasikhuluma medical aid for those who might have heard it but don't actually know what medical aid is? What does it entail? Yini medical aid?
I think a medical aid is it's insurance in the event of a medical problem. So in other words, utenga insurance, and when the loguti in the event that mhlambe ugule or something happens to you, edinga isizo luka doctor or medicine, you then tap into that fund. That's essentially what it is.
Okay.
From the perspective.
So medical aid ihluke kanjani ne hospital cover, because earlier on sibene guest lapha Nombuso wathi yena ke she's done with medical aid, should rather take up hospital cover.
Yeah, a hospital cover, essentially what you are saying is utenga insurance yokuthi in case something happens edinga ukuthi yolala esibhedlela, then ikhokhele leyo expense. Ayikhokheli ama day to day njengokuya kwa doctor njengokuthenga ama medication. So hospital cover nje khokha nje ukuya kwa esibhedlela, ukulala esibhedlela.
Ngoba kune medical aid, kune hospital plan, kune medical insurance nabo hospital cover. Na ungasichazela ke ngayinye ukuthi yini kahle kahle lethu nhlangothi lethu.
I think medical aid is a broad term of health insurance, medical insurance ozithengela yona, ozithengela yona ukuthi ikusize. And then under medical aid you get the hospital plan njengoba ngishilo. I-hospital plan covers you for ukuthi makwenzeke something edinga ukuthi yolala esibhedlela. Bese kuba khona i-health insurance. Nayo it's the same as ifana ne-medical aid. The difference is enye i-regulator omunye umthetho, enye regulator omunye umthetho. Njengoba wazi kune medical schemes, kune insurance, short term and long term insurance.
Okay.
So ama health insurers are under the long term and short term insurance, and ama medical aid fall under medical aid in terms of regulation. Masikhuluma ngomthetho.
Nabo hospital plan nabo they still fall under.
A hospital plan is a medical aid, which means it falls under the medical schemes, umthetho medical schemes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kunaluhlangothi ke lolusha lekuthiwa i-medical savings plan. Yona ke yini le?
I-medical savings card ile siyenzayo thina kwa OI, what we are saying is faka imali uyigcinele ukuthi wena ma decide ukuthi uya kwa doctor leyo mali available uthatha lo ma savings wakho uya kwa doctor or ufuna mhlambi ama medication uya e-pharmacy. The main difference is that it's your own money, essentially savings account la ubeka khona imali, and whatever money is available when uyakwazi ukuyisebenzisa, and isebenzela unlike aboma medical aid naboma health insurance isebenzela noma ubani. So if mhlambi endlini ni family abantu aba 5 usofaka imali lapho asithi mhlambi sukuna 1000 rand, makugule ingane uthatha le 1000 rand uyo service ingane kwa doctor. Whereas insurance or medical aid you have to nominate wonke lama member lawa, and as you nominate ama member nemali yakhuphuka lo ibhadala every month. So that's the main difference.
Okay, so nangabe sikhuluma nge-gross kumele ngihole malini kuze ukuthi ngiqualify for that particular savings plan?
I-savings plan is essentially imali yakho kufana nje ne-account. If une 10 rand ngalelo langa ufaka i-10 rand, if une 2000 rand asithi mhlawumbe upopile ufaka i-2000 rand labo. So ayina minimum in terms of salary or i-gross. It's just that ukuthi wena una imali extra ofuna ukuyibeka ecaleni in case of medication.
Okay.
Yes.
So kahle kahle ku stockfela noma kusebenta cishe kufana ne stockfela.
Cishe kufana ne stockfela, exactly. Uyichanile lapho. Cishe kufana ne stockfela. Imali yakho uyayifaka lapho njenge stockfela. Ngithi stockfela sisavela ukuthi mhlambi ngo December zifuna imali ethile or for school fees kanjalo. So nalana ufaka imali uyigcinela for medication. So once ingenile imali ukwazi nje ukuyisebenzisela for medication, unlike ukuthi mhlawumbe uyikhiphe kuma ATM or wenzeni.
Lo munye ke mos angathi lento kuyafana mos ne medical aid ngoba i-medical aid nakhona imali yakho ngoba imali uyicontributor njalo ngenyanga. So nalapha angisho nakhona ku medical savings plan nakhona imali yakho uyicontributor ngenyanga. So yingelo mehluko between i-savings plan ne medical aid.
Yeah, the difference between a prepaid medical savings card is that if ufake 500 rand, le 500 rand leyo isiza wena, isiza umngani wakho, isiza ungani yakho, isiza umama endlini nobaba endlini. Whereas i-medical aid, because kuyi-insurance, kumele unominate ukuthi le medical aid icover uSimbiwe, even if le 500 ikhona lana mhlambe kugula umama endlini, if umama endlini akekho kule list akwazi ukumsebenzisela for lona le 500 rand. So i-cover i-life, i-medical aid covers i-life, whereas medical savings it's fana ne-bank, imali lapho isebhanki ungayisebenzisa for noma ubani. The only thing is mele uyisebenzise for medication.
Okay. Mr. Satas, let me bring you into this conversation. Earlier on, we had a journalist and a freelancer who was hurtful, as it were, or who was fed up with medical aid schemes that she's been taking up in the past. And she also approached the Council for Medical Schemes. Unfortunately, we also invited them to come into our show, but then they couldn't make it. And is this an indication that medical aids have failed South Africans, especially poor South Africans who cannot afford medical aid?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. I think the industry is quite complex. I mean, I don't know the particular lady's case as to what happened there. But the medical schemes work within fairly strict rules that they're imposed upon through the regulations that the Council for Medical Schemes regulates. And obviously they have to abide and operate within those rules. And sometimes those can be things like disclosing what conditions you might have had before. And if not, then there is obviously action that they can take on that. And the objective behind that is to obviously protect those members that are in that scheme, because otherwise people would just hop in and out of the schemes as and when they needed care. To say has it failed to South Africa? No, but the reality is that the traditional medical scheme, medical aid cover is expensive. So it is a challenge for lower income people to partake in the industry. I think the concern now in terms of where we are with some action with the council was the Circular 80, which they put out last December, which they're basically trying to call for an end on the attempts by the industry to create a lower level of cover that is affordable to more South Africans. And that's really the concern as to why they're trying to end it and not actually trying to promote it so that more South Africans can actually access private care. Right. We obviously all know what's happening in public. It is under quite substantial strain. So I think if we could see policies that aim more at expanding private care rather than restricting it, we think it would be better for more South Africans.
Okay, I want us to pick up on that point after the break, but now we shall take a short break. And are you one of those consumers who cannot afford medical aid but prefer medical care from private healthcare institutions? How do you save up for your medical costs? Call in and share with us after this break. Yilungelo Lakho. Before the break, we asked if you are one of those consumers who cannot afford medical aid but still prefer medical care from private health institutions. How do you save up for your medical aid costs? Shayela ke ucingo usitshele ke ku-0117146918 noma ke 0117146919. Ungasithumela futhi na-SMS ku-33721 noma ke usibhalele ku-Facebook. And let's take our first caller. Sina Moli ulapha ke Soweto. Sakumule ehleleni sawubona.
Hello.
Moli kunjani mama?
Khona njani?
Siyaphila khuluma nathi mama.
Nitse batla go tseba gore if o le mo gae wa khona go nka medical aid o le unemployed mara o khona go afford.
Come again ma'am?
If o le unemployed, ne? Wauza?
Yeah, go
mara
on.
o na le tšhelete ya gore o ka khona go nka medical aid. Go na le medical aid o jalo ka khona go nka.
All right, Moli, Soweto Semaukulu Shayela. We'll try to engage our guests with regards to your issue. Now, before we get to, I hope you're thinking of responses to Molly's case. Let's pick up on the conversation we heard before that break, Mr. Status, with regards to, you say that some of the medical aids are protecting some of their clients, but it's not entirely so, because so many people have gotten fed up with medical aid. I'm not going to mention names, but, Unombuso had a condition, and when she checked into hospital, the medical aid did not want to pay for her bill because she had a chronic depression. So how is the medical aid protecting the interest of the clients in that particular
Well, we're not saying protecting the interests of the existing members of the scheme, so that if somebody joins a scheme and they do have a pre-existing condition and they only then join at that time, that scheme's going to run into financial trouble, because if everybody does that to the scheme, they'll never have enough money to cover all the costs, because they'll only have 3 or 4 months contributions. and then have a bill of 30,000 rand to pay isn't exactly that example. So, but what I do think though is that the schemes are all bound by this very same legislation, all the same rules. It's all statutory based. As I said earlier in the break, I'm very glad that the lady got herself a broker, because the industry is complex. It's difficult to understand all these rules as a consumer. So what I would suggest is, in that case, is get someone like that who can assist. It doesn't cost anything because it's all built into those contributions that are paid, and at least then they can guide you to exactly where, and they can explain all those situations. I don't think any medical scheme would willfully not pay an account just because they felt like it. They're bound by very tight and strict rules, and they would never be able to get away with it. So unless it's something that's in the legislation says they can, which is there to protect the existing members, as I said, from it's what's called anti-selection.
Okay.
So if you only join when you're sick and not when you're healthy, then that's called anti-selection. So the rules that are created within the legislation is to protect that from happening. So if you leave a medical scheme and join later, you're going to get a waiting period on your benefits. So you can only claim after that waiting period.
Okay.
And that is
how long is normally the waiting period?
Well, there's a 3-month general, and then there's a 12-month condition specific, which relates to if you have a specific condition. So if you say you have high blood pressure and you join a scheme, then for 12 months, they're not going to cover you for anything that's related to high blood pressure. Okay. But after that 12 months, if you continue and carry on your cover, then you'll have full cover after that on that option.
You are in full support of a broker. What does a medical broker do?
Well, I think they work through the complexities of the benefit structures, the industry, the rules. You know, as we're talking now, you know, we can obviously understand that it's quite complex. So they understand and know all these things because there's so many medical schemes, there's so many options with each one, and there's so many rules around each of these things. You know, even for myself, I'm in the industry, but it's difficult to really keep up to date with all the changes and the benefits and the structures and what suits you. You know, you might just want cover for, say, hospital cover, like we spoke about earlier, within the medical scheme, or you might feel you want a much more comprehensive plan that covers all sorts of other things, all the day-to-day benefits as well.
Yeah,
so
I think a broker is essentially almost plays the role of a financial advisor who basically listens to what you need or what your condition is and tries and marry it with all the different products that is closest to what you want, and then also maybe saving you a little bit of some money. Because, you know, as my colleague says, it is a complex, you know, its medical schemes are complex, health insurance is complex. Now, for one at home, like Usismoli, for example, to try and find your own medical aid that's going to fit your...
So basically, a broker does all the dirty work trying to find, you know, the cheapest or the most reasonable medical aid on your behalf?
Well, to fit your requirement, your need.
Okay.
Yes, that's essentially what a broker should do, is listen to what you want and look out there for what marries what you need, and obviously at the right price.
But also I think to inform members what they're buying. You know, so upfront they realise that, say, for the first year I'm going to have this 12-month waiting period and I can't claim for that. And it not be a shock and surprise because of a lack of information.
Right,
I think that's quite important.
Yeah, Molly also touched on the fact that, I mean, she's unemployed, and if you are unemployed, but you've got the money, you've got the means of making a living, can you join a medical aid?
Yeah, look, I think medical aid, and as my colleague explained, is insurance. In other words, they rely on you paying the monthly premiums. Should the monthly premium at some point be banking, or maybe there are other commitments in the household, unfortunately, your cover, there's going to be issues. And then when you try to claim, they'll tell you, sorry, because you didn't pay for this month, you've got a problem. And this is where something like a medical savings then comes into play, which says, you know, you put the money if and when you can afford. So you don't have to put 100 Rand every month. You can put 2,000 1 month and skip 3 months and put 2,000 again. So it's essentially your own account where you put money in and leave it for that. So those are the two fundamental differences. So if njengoba Sismoli esho, she's at home usekhaya and she feels like she can afford the medical aid, I mean, again, I think a broker and a financial advisor would be the best place to go with ayobheka what she can afford to according to her needs. But then what is flexible are things like medical savings where you put the money there and then, you know, even if you don't contribute on that month, your money is still there and you can use it.
Yeah.
So
Michael?
medical scheme regulations, just to touch on that point, they can't decline anyone who applies to join them. The only thing they can do is apply these rules, and that's why they're so quite strict about it. So even if someone's unemployed or not affiliated to an employer, they can still join a medical aid. can only join open medical schemes, but there are quite a few of them.
So as long as you'll be able to pay that monthly medical fees?
The contributions, yeah, then you'll, as long as you keep that contribution up, your cover then will be, the full benefits of that option you'll get.
All right. So nangabe upatela, say you made an example of 1,000 rand every month towards that medical savings plan. What if, I get afflicted with a condition and I get admitted to hospital and the medical costs are far more than what I've already contributed?
No, it's a very good question. So I think one needs to look at the landscape in South Africa and say 80% of Yabantu can't afford medical aid. So for that other 20% who can afford medical aid, obviously they have, a nice suite of bouquets, Yama product that they can choose. But you get the 80%, which are people who earn from a minimum wage, and some of them are earning a lot of money, but just because of commitments, they just cannot afford medical aid. Because so what we are doing there is we are saying, here's an alternative where you can then put this 1,000 rand and pay for your day-to-day medication. Now, essentially, if you look at it, some people have never been to a hospital, but statistically, you should go to the doctor or seek medical attention at least 4 times a year. So even if you take a mapanado, so those are the events that we are trying to say, instead of humble your cure at a public facility, which we know which is under strain, here's an alternative where you can take that 1,000 rand, you take a mapanado wako, and tomorrow you are back at work, and you didn't lose it. So in that event, I would say if you have the money, then I think the alternative is to try and marry that with a hospital plan, so that for those big expensive events, then at least you know what you are covered in that event. But 80% of the time, you go to the doctor, you buy medication here and there, and those are the events that are stifling the 12 million people like Mzansi who do not have medical aid.
Okay.
And they don't even go to the clinic, because we ask with my clinic, sometimes you're just sitting there, polish maso, and then no, sorry, come back sasa, mobile medication. So we are trying to deal and help. It's a big ecosystem. We all need to contribute.
So,
all right.
I think that's what I touched on earlier. So the industry has been working for a number of years now in terms of building lower cost options because of South Africa's disparate levels of income. As you say, it's actually less than 20% of people are on medical aid, and that's purely an affordability factor.
Okay.
So the industry has been creating lower cost product options, and that's designed to create affordability for a wider sector of people. The concerns that we have is that, as I say recently, that the Council for Medical Schemes is attempting to ban those products, which we don't understand from a consumer point of view. This is creating affordability for them, yet they wanted to remove them completely. So quite a concern for us.
All right. Namhlanje sikhuluma ke medical aid and the high costs of medical aid and the various options available to you to access low cost medical aid. Sikhulume ke nange broker futhi ukuthi ungayisebenzisa ibroker uyichazele tonke idzingo takho yena tabe siyakutshela ukuthi kumele uthathe yipi noma ke luphi luhla lo medical aid. Asisiphinde sathatha linye likhefu kuyembukeli. Leli lungelo lakho. How do you pay for your medical bills? Do you have perhaps a hospital plan or hospital insurance, medical savings card, or even a medical plan? How is it working out for you? Does it deliver on its promises? 01171469118 noma ke 01171469119 ungasithumela futhi na-SMS ku-33721 noma ke usibhalele ku-Facebook. Let's take our next caller. Sina Anonymous ulapha ke eThekwini. Sakumole lihleleni sawubona.
Kunjani futhi?
Siyaphila kunjani baba?
Hello? Kuyaphila.
Siyaphila baba. Khuluma nathi baba.
Yebo. Ngicela nginombuzo kubuti lo usebenza kwi-OYI.
Yeah.
Ngi-hospital plan. Ukuthi aseni ngitsho ngiyayijoyina i-hospital plan njalo ngenyanga isivumelwano sithi ngikhokha 1,000 njalo ngenyanga. Let's say sengikhokhele for 3 months. Kulo 3 months ngibe mhlambe kwi-accident. Ngizodinga ukwenza i-operation. Mhlambe let's say esibhedlela bazothi ama-cost operation azokhokha 30,000. Ngeke ngize ngiphinisele emuva kuthiwa wena ngoba usakhokhe u-3,000 ama-cost awu-30,000 isebenza kanjani?
Okay, sicela ubamba kancane utakuphendvula ke.
Yabo bhuti, i-hospital plan if ugonke ukuchazile mawujoyina ukuthi ama condition wakho anjani athini, if ungena ku accident njengoba usho after 3 months, as long as ama premium wakho and everything are up to date, izokhokha angeke kube nenkinga.
All right, Anonymous, siyathemba ukuthi uphendulekile kulolu hlangothi.
Okay, angiyabonga.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu kusishayela. Okay, let's just pick up on that point that we made earlier with regards to contributor every month ngibhadala 1,000 or whatever amount, and then nangabe sengiyagula ke, what then happens? Njengoba car accident njengoba Anonymous ashido.
I think njengoba ngishilo ngathi the best thing is if mhlawumbe ubheke izinto ezinkulu like ama operation adinga isibhedlela kanjalo, I think the best option would be to look at into ezifana nabo ma hospital plan kanje, so that wazi ukuthi if something enkulu kanjalo yenzeka you are covered. Thina as a medical savings card njengoba yisho imali oyisaveayo, and you can only use le mali osoyisavile, so isebenza kahle for mhlawumbe umntana uyagula ebusuku ne fever, and you need to take them to the doctor or uthenge aba-Nurofen into ezinjalo, uyakwazi ukuthi uye pharmacy usebenzise leyo mali onayo, or uye kwa doctor blood test, ama x-ray nesangoma kanjalo, if nakhona i-speed point phula amathambo kube mnandi. So zonke ezo zinto lezo ziyasebenza. Njengoba ngisho we are covering thina labantu abayi-12 million labasebenzayo every day, mari abakwazi uku-afford medical aid, so and we know ukuthi bayaya kwa doctor, bayaya bayithenga medication, bayaya for ama blood test. So those are the conditions which, as I said, 80% of the time, it's those things. Doctor. It's the other 10, maybe 20% that needs you to go to the hospital. So we are saying, let's assist in this ecosystem and address this one big problem, which is day-to-day medication.
So ikona limit lekumele kuthi ngayideposita kule medical savings plan?
No, not at all. Sikhona sinabantu abafaka 50 rand every month.
Minimum amount ikona yona?
No, not at all. So ufaka leyo mali onayo ngaleyo mini leyo.
Okay.
So abanye abantu, for example, in the construction space or njengo sisi la behleli, uyazi ukuthi mhlawumbe imali yakho ayingeni njalo every month, une project ufumana imali upope mhlawumbe 2 months awunamsebenzi. So mawuthole imali uyakwazi ukuyifaka uyigcine, uyazi ukuthi at least I know ukuthi kune 2,000 should anything happen I'm fine.
Noma ngabe kuphele 2 months solo angifaki ayigwinyeki leyo mali?
No,
ihlala
ikhona obviously kunama fees service account, but other than that,
yes, what are those fees?
Imali ikhona.
What are those fees?
So the monthly fee is 20 rand, so you pay 20 rand monthly administration fee, and then bekhona a transaction fee of 2 rand. So if you do swipe, but only 2 rand. But other than that, mawufake leyo mali ihlala ikhona njalo lapho.
Okay, Michael?
So I think it's a good point to just listening to the caller earlier. It's important for the listeners to also understand it's a distinction between a hospital plan that is in a medical scheme and a hospital plan that is an insurance product, because they're quite different. The terminology, so I think often consumers get confused about that.
Really?
So a hospital plan inside a medical scheme has all the rules around the Medical Schemes Act apply to it, and if you end up in hospital, you'll have very comprehensive care there in hospital. A hospital cash plan is designed a different type of product. It's designed to pay your cash lump sum that you're in hospital. So you'd invariably buy that to maybe cover costs, non-medical costs that might come out of being in hospital. So I think it's important for consumers just to understand the difference between those two products. So you can have hospital plan, but you can have hospital plan in a medical scheme, which is much more comprehensive, or you can have hospital plan or...
So basically that hospital plan, it pays out the lump sum upon admission?
That's the hospital insurance type products, the cashback plans.
So I can use that to pay my medical bills if I don't have medical aid?
If you don't, yes. But it's invariably not sufficient to cover the full bills. So those type of products will only really cover you for picking up incidental costs outside of the actual medical event. Because most private hospitals won't take a hospital cash plan as a guarantee of payment. So you'd either have to then pay up front or go to public.
So all these medical plans and health insurance packages, are they condition specific?
No, generally not. So they would cover you for a wide range of conditions. I mean, there might be some exclusions that are worth looking at. The medical schemes, as I say, cover a much wider range of services and benefits that, I mean, that's designed to cover your full costs. Where hospital cash just says we pay you a certain amount, but if your charges are more than that, then you're not going to be fully covered.
I think another point to add there is medical schemes, the medical aid, they cannot refuse you. If obviously, you being honest in what your conditions you have, they cannot refuse you. So they maybe impose a waiting period. With no, mhlambe, you know, you've
They
got
cannot
this,
refuse to pay or refuse you to take up that package?
no, they cannot refuse you
refuse
to
membership.
join.
Or to join, okay.
Yes. So as it mhlambe you've got a pre-existing condition. Njengosisi kanje, afika ayibeke ukuthi no, I've got this condition that I have. They can impose a waiting period ukuthi mhlambe uzolinda 3 months or 12 months before you get the full benefits.
Okay.
Whereas with the health insurance, they can reject you if babona ukuthi they don't want to take you on with your condition. So those are the two fundamental, I think, one other differences also.
Okay. Now, Michael, having listened to Tammy just, expanding on the tenets, the basic tenets of medical savings plan, would you support it? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, look, I think it's, I mean, you can have medical savings account outside of a medical scheme, or a lot of medical schemes also offer the savings within the scheme. Obviously, the one within a scheme you can only have if you belong to the medical scheme. So therefore, you know, you have to first have the more expensive component and then you take the savings account with it. A standalone savings obviously has the advantage of being able to, you know, put away some funds for emergencies, but it wouldn't cover big emergencies. You know, it'd be stuff like if, you know, you broke a tooth and you had to go and see the dentist. Nobody likes to go to the dentist, but you know, if you have to, you have to. So you'd have to use those funds for it. It's a forced saving, so I think it's, you know, we can obviously never predict when we're going to need to access medical care.
Okay.
So if it's a case of not wanting to go to the state on those day-to-day things, then a forced saving is probably a good idea.
All right.
I think a good point there is that Michael raises is a medical savings within a medical scheme covers. It needs to be you as a primary member, mhlambi noma endlini umfake as a secondary member, and then you've got 3 kids, and every time you add a member the costs are increasing, whereas a standalone savings package is you get the card, you put whatever money you can afford. And
so I can put in as many members as possible?
You can use it for anybody that you want to use
so
it
the
for.
costs will still not escalate?
No, they do not escalate. So
Okay.
the 1,000 rand that you put in there is 1,000 rand that is accessible to you and your whole family, irrespective.
I think the nice thing about a standalone medical card system is that you can't spend it anywhere else other than a medical service provider. So it kind of forces. So if you put money in there, you can't take it out for other
gives you
things.
the discipline.
It's locked into only being spent on medical service providers.
Don't you think that's a bit problematic, though? Because, in some instances or in some pharmacies who may not necessarily accept that particular card and I need that medication, and it's only that pharmacy or medical institution which offers that kind of medication, can I then withdraw what I've already put in to pay in cash that particular institution?
Yes, that's a very good question. So, I mean, I'm not sure about any other solutions out there, but if you look at OE Medical Card as it stands right now, we issue you with a MasterCard, which is essentially works just like your normal bank card. And because it's a MasterCard, I think you'll need to find a pharmacy that does not accept a MasterCard before you can find the scenario ecacisayo. So, kusho ukuthi isebenza noma kuphi la kune-speed point khona. And so far, we haven't had a problem. Every pharmacy in South Africa does have a speed point. The issue around withdrawing the cash, people will come up with interesting scenarios ukwenzela ukuthi mhlambe bahambe bayocelebrate i-Chiefs iwine ne-Pirates and so forth. So we want to stay out of those.
No, Pirates, now we're in the Chiefs.
Anyway, to help the boys.
Anyway, you liken this card to a bank card or a debit card.
Yeah, exactly.
But the only difference is that with bank card, it bears interest. Whatever I've put in there, it bears interest. So kule mali ngifakile lapha kule medical savings card, ikhona an interest. Iyatala yini?
No, not at this point. We're working on something, but no, not at this point. There are some issues around it because once you start promising people, because now you're making promises, then you become an advisor, then you become, you need more than that, you make it more complex because now you need to explain to people things that maybe they're not necessarily concerned with. And what we did was to take out more complexities from, as we said, I mean, the medical schemes and the health insurance are complex as they are. You don't want another product to figure foot in eye. It's another set of complexities. Yeah.
Let's leave it there for now, gentlemen. Sikhuluma medical aid and the costs thereof. Yilungelo Lakho. Asikho Siyicucumbeleke indzaba yethu namhla yema-medical aid and the other options that are at your disposal and the different medical plans that you can select. Nangabe-ke uva ngathi-ke i-medical aid iyadula. Yini-ke luhla-ke longalisebenzisa kuze kuthi uthole i-medical aid letaba mnanzi like ikini lakho. Gentlemen, before we wrap up this discussion on medical aid and the costs thereof, what are some of your final tips that you may have for potential consumers or potential clients of medical aid companies?
Yeah, I think medical aid, I mean, it's expensive, it's complex. I think abantu who want to maybe delve into medical aid or looking at different options, they should rather look at the financial advisor or a broker, because they understand all of these things, but also be honest with your conditions, because I think sometimes we maybe forget to mention ukuthi no ngikula ngento so 2 years ago maybe ngike ngaphuka and all of these things, and these are the things that one day they'll catch up with you if you try to make a claim and they find ukuthi there was a pre-existing condition. So just be honest, and as I said, medical aid, they won't decline you. All they do is they'll just give you a waiting period. So put as much, even if you think you don't know, maybe yesterday I have a headache, you just write it down there so that you feel free, you've disclosed everything. And then the brokers, they know everything, and so they'll be able to advise where to go and what's best and so forth.
Michael, do you think the medical aid companies advise potential clients that they should disclose every single illness? I mean, you just mentioned even a headache. You should disclose even the slightest headache.
Look, the disclosure is an important aspect. I do think they're fairly open about it. I mean, if you ever see one of the application forms, it's quite comprehensive. There's a lot of detail. I'd say in terms of advice to the consumers is that when you buy even if you're buying insurance or buying medical aid, it's an important purchase. So give it the time and attention it needs to get to understand it. I'd agree with Tommy, use an advisor or a healthcare broker. It is a complex industry out there. And I think get to know what you're buying to understand that what those benefits are under there. And disclosure, yeah, if whatever you think you've had in the past, put it down. It's not going to do you any harm in terms of that disclosure. But at least then you won't have a comeback later, which is a shock to say, oh, we're not paying because you didn't disclose this condition.
All right, let's now take our viewer comments on Facebook. Togumzazi says, what I want to know, why medical aids are so expensive, yet it's a monthly payment. What if I don't get sick for 5 years? Do I get anything or I just continue paying? Talando says, why ingahloswa njena lemali medical ngoba abantu baphaya imali encane. Ntokozo says, imali esiyiholayo incane ayimelani nezidingo zempilo ngempela siyadinga medical aid engeke ibize amaxabiso amakhulu. Tammy, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think exactly to our point, and that's why we are saying, maybe look at all the options. There are hospital plans if you feel like you want to save imali, because cost of living is very high these days. So I think you need to be, as Michael says, ube sure to tengani for what. The messages, they make sense, they're right. So I would say if you want your money and control of your money, a medical savings card is the option. But then you need to obviously then take care of your hospitalization and all those big events. But as I said, there are 12 million, a lot of people who cannot afford a medical aid. So those people are the ones that we talk to. Yeah.
Now, Michael, another viewer on Facebook says, what if she doesn't get sick for 5 years and she keeps on paying medical aid contributions every single month? What then happens? Is it some sort of a savings plan that she can get access to?
Okay, there's no such thing as a low claim bonus in the medical schemes environment. That's a regulatory issue that's imposed upon it. The actual savings account that you have within a medical scheme, that will be your money, so that won't be taken away. But unfortunately, if you don't claim for 5 years, then there's no low claim bonus, if you like.
Okay, Michael and Tammy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
much appreciated. Very insightful discussion we've had. Pheza kanjalo ke hlelo bekunene ngethemba ukuthi ke ucaciselekile ngama options lo nawo ke uma ngabe ufuna ukuthatha i-medical aid scheme. Before you sign up, exercise due diligence in order to avoid any dodgy dealings. And many thanks to our studio guests for their invaluable insights. And for story suggestions, please send an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. For Miss Mpio Ngone and the rest of the team, have a blessed week. Nsale kahle.
Yilungelo, Yilungelo,